All right, well, I guess it's about that time to start. So, first off, I just want to say spring is in the air and it feels wonderful. Now, it makes me smile knowing that the days are about to get warmer and longer. No more thick jackets and frigid weather. I'm free as my iPad, ready to work wherever I want to and wherever I please. Well, it's still a bit cold today, so today's webinar is coming straight to you live in our media pod where it's nice and warm. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Franklin, and I'm the Product App Specialist for Kits and your webinar host. Now, here is where I show you those tips and tricks and kits that you need to know to becoming that supercharged power user. Now, in case you have any questions, you can submit them in the chat box. That's going to be located in the Go to Webinar control panel. Should be on the right side of your screen. And what I'll do is I'll take a few minutes at the end of today's webinar to answer them. So just as a reminder, our next free training webinar has been rescheduled for tomorrow. That's Thursday, April 18th at 3 p.m. So be sure to attend, especially if you're new to Kits or would simply like a review. Now, sign up is easy. All you need to do is just go to our Kits Knowledge Center and click on the Resource tab to register for all our webinars. All right, with that being said, let's get on with today's webinar. So today I'll be showing you how to use the behavior and project feature for your project. So we're going to take a look at all three settings: quantity combine, visibility, and include in project quick sheet. And I'll talk about how you can use it in your projects, when is a good time to use it, and some of the best practices that you should know about creating your project. All right? So let's go ahead and open up Kits. All right. So anytime you want to create a project in Kits, what you want to do is go ahead and tap on that plus sign at the top left corner, and that will lead you into the scene builder. All right. And in the scene builder at the very top is your project name. And as a best practice, what I always suggest you do before you start any projects at all is you start off with a project name. So what I like to do for my project names is I like to remain consistent. And the reason why I like to do this is because, first off, when I share the project to any of my team members that I'll be working with, they'll know exactly what they're getting. All right, so my project name is going to be consistent, starting off with my name, so they know who it's from, the client, what the project is, and also I like to stamp it with a date. So just in case I ever have to make additional iterations of this project, what I can do is I can always track my progress. So I'll start off with today's date. And there you go. Now, the project has been created. Now, the project hasn't been saved. And so what I like to do here is I like to create an initial save. And the reason why I do this is because Kits will incrementally save your project in the background. So in case anything ever happens, let's say you're working on it and your battery dies, or you're working on it and you accidentally drop your device and it shatters the screen. Trust me, these things have all happened in the past. What Kits will do is it'll allow you to start off at the moment of when it last saved in the background. So this is actually basically a failsafe that we've added so that, again, you don't lose all that progress. You don't lose all that hard work you've put in to creating your projects. All right? And you can see here that when we create the initial save, Kits will automatically save the last saved scene, and it'll provide that as a thumbnail image for the project. Okay, now to open up the project, simply enough, tap on the image of the project that you wish to open up. All right, so it'll open up back here into the scene builder. All right, now today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at that handy feature called behavior and project. Now in Kits, what we've done is we've applied a set of rules that all the manufacturer items have to abide by. Okay, so first off, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring in a classroom. And today we're going to go and use some of the products from our friends at Archibald. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a project here. And simply enough, just like anything else, I'm going to drag that project into my scene. All right. So here's this wonderful classroom. And so what I see here are basically a lot of repeat elements. I see a lot of blue seating. I see a lot of purple seating. And what I want to do is I want to sort of differentiate each area, sort of demarcating these areas by assigning different colors to seats. So I want to change the seating here on these purple chairs. Now I can see that these student chairs have casters, okay? And they're quite different from some of the other ones that are in place here. Now, simply enough, if I double tap on one of the chairs, I'll bring up the Edit Item menu. And if I go ahead and select the swatch option and now make the change to the chair, let's take a look at what happens. Okay, so kits will recognize any like item that's in the scene so that when I make a change to one, it applies that change to all. Now, again, that's a handy feature we included so that it'll help you quickly specify products that are in your scene. Okay, and so that rule that we've created basically implies that any item that is on the same line or is a like item, when I make a change to one, it makes a change to all. All right, and even though that's such a handy feature, sometimes we want to make some different swatch changes. Again, just like this one here, to sort of demarcate the actual area itself, okay, without having any kind of architectural barrier or even some kind of flooring to suggest that this is a different area. We want to define it by changing the actual color from the actual seating. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to undo the last swatch change. All right. Now I can also see that, again, because this is a typical we brought in, all the items are grouped together. So first thing I want to do is I want to ungroup to making sure that I have access to each individual item. Okay, and before I start, I'm going to go ahead into Plan View, and I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these chairs. All right, and I'll leave one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double tap on that same chair, and just as before, I'm going to go ahead and change the swatch option that's available for this chair. But remember, when we did that last time, what had happened was kits made a change to all like chairs that fell under the same line. So these chairs around this desking area also were applied with the same finish. What we want to do is we want to single out the items on this side. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tap on Behavior and Project at the bottom here in the Edit Item menu. And when I do that, you can see three settings that appear: Quantity Combine, Visibility, and Include in Project Quick Sheet. Now, the first setting is Quantity Combine, and this is the rule that applies to the specification of the chair. Here it says combine all like this into one line, which I showed you here in the list view, and that changes to any will be applied to all. So what I want to do is I want to keep this one separate. So I'm going to go ahead and change that setting. And now I'm going to go directly into the specification option. Let's select that chair. Let's select that orange. And now I'm going to go ahead and tap Done. And you can now see what it has done here is it's applied the swatch to the single chair without affecting the other chairs that were under the same line. And if I go back to my list view, I can see now that what it has done is it created a new line of the newly specified item. Even though it's the same item as the one above, the difference here is the swatch selection. Okay, so now I need to go ahead and create duplicates of this chair. And if I just go ahead, since it's already selected, and create a duplicate, let's go to list view to see what happens. You can see here it creates another line. And the reason why is because the rule that we applied is still set on keeping this one separate. So it's treating it as a different selection every time, creating a new line. So what we want to do, let's delete that, is we want to go back into the behavior and project. And this time, we're going to return it back to the original setting, combine all like this into one line. And now, I'm going to go ahead and create that duplicate. And let's see what happens. So now you can see here that it's now included it under the same line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm now going to take it. Let's group those two together. And I'm now going to create duplicates for this setting. All right, and there you have it. So by changing the rule, we're able to specify the same chair, apply it with a different swatch, and also allow all the other items to appear under the same line. Okay, so that's behavior and project. Now, let's look at the other setting here. First off, what I'm going to do is we're going to set up a little bit of a scenario. Now, in this scenario, we're going to obviously have this classroom here, but what we'll need to include is additional desking that's going to be for another area, an adjacent classroom. But we don't necessarily need to see that rendering or that item in this rendering. What we need to do is we just need to include it in the project quick sheet or the estimation. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my my add item menu. I'm going to go ahead and click on Archibald. And we're going to go right into teacher workstations. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to select a desk here. And we'll quickly add some specifications to it. Okay. So here I have the teacher's workstation. Now we need to add this new desk to a few other classrooms. So I'm going to create several duplicates. All right. Now, obviously, if I were to take this rendering, that's going to look silly because I have these three desks that are just floating in the actual space itself. Now, even though I need to include this in the project estimation, I don't need to include it in the rendering. So what I can do is I can double tap on one of the desks and I can go into the behavior and project. And under the second setting, we have visibility. And by default, you can see here that the setting is set on show in 3D scene so that any item that I add to the scene will appear in the HD renderings. Now, I also have the option of hiding that. So if I go ahead and select that option, you can now see the desks now disappear from the scene. And if I go into list view, here's the teacher desks. The value is still added to the project estimation. However, this graphic here of the eyeball is letting me know that the visibility of this graphic is now hidden from our scene. Okay, so that's how visibility works. Now, we're pretty good with that. Let's go ahead and start off our rendering. Okay, and at any time you're client facing, what you'll want to do is you'll want to render with the first level rendering option. That's your good level there, because it's the quickest rendering option that'll allow you to turn over an image within seconds. Usually takes about 30 seconds on the iPad. Now, for all you KITS Surface users, you'll see a significant difference in terms of the rendering time. And that's because, again, you get to utilize a more robust processing, more processing power, allowing you to turn those renderings over quite quickly. All right, and even at the good level, what we do is we still create an HD image that applies shade and shadow allowing you to or providing you a more depth in the actual 3D scene. All right. So I'm satisfied with this. As always, I'm going to save it to my photo library. And just in case I need to email to my client, and if you're client facing, you're out at their site and you need access to Wi-Fi, okay, some personal hotspotting or personal Wi-Fis will allow you to send documentation out. Now, if you need to update your catalogs, you'll need to be connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi. Okay, so always remember that. So here, if I were to email it, you can see what KITS does on the iPad is it automatically uses the native email client, which is Mail, and it utilizes the email that's associated to that account to sending out your email. So just in case it's not your professional email, you may want to send it to your professional email first before sending it out to your clients. All right. And there's the actual email template. I can add some comments in the body if I wish to. And there's the wonderful image that I'm sending to my client. Okay, just for you. Don't forget to add a recipient and click on send when you're ready to send that out. All right. So let's go back, and I'm going to return the visibility of those desks by simply undoing. Now, I want to leave one of these desks here, and we're going to utilize it for this project. Okay, so it's going to be included with all the additionals here. And so what I'm going to do is we still need 3 of these desks that are going to be placed in other areas, but we're going to leave one of these here for this scene. Okay, so I'm just going to make some adjustments. Let's group these together. And we're going to take one of these chairs. We're also going to include it here for the teacher's desk. Okay, so I now have my completed classroom. Now, in this scenario, we have the teacher's desk. Okay, now this is going to be an existing desk that's in the space that we need to utilize. And because, lucky enough, we have the graphic to being able to illustrate how it's going to fit in the space, we're going to go ahead and use it. Now, this works with a lot of the projects that we normally work on, especially if we're working with existing clients. Let's say that are specified with manufacturers that we sell. Okay, most of the time, a lot of the furniture that's within the space is going to be reused in some way to accommodate the new furniture, whether it's actually going to be used in conjunction with the furniture or separate. In this case, if it's going to be used with the new furniture and we have access to a graphic, regardless whether it's the right graphic or the right specification, what we have here is the opportunity to show the visibility of it. Okay, so in this case, we have this desk. It's existing. We're going to utilize it because we want to see what it looks like within the scene. Now, with that being said, because it's a manufacturer item, there's a price value that's also included with this item, which we need to omit from the estimation. Okay, so set aside the desks that we have here. What I'm going to do is, let's first set up these. And again, because it's tied to this same desk, I'm just going to say keep this one separate. All right. Then I'm going to hide the visibility of it. I'm going to go back into list view. Here's a desk that we've hidden. Okay, we got a quantity of 1. I need to include this value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the quantity combined setting. And now I'm going to create duplicates of this desk that's already hidden here. All right, so now you can see that I have a quantity of 3, so I got that total, and if I go to my 3D view, they're nowhere to be seen because I've hidden the actual value. I've hidden the graphic. Now we need to include this in the new rendering, but this time, what we need to do is we need to remove the pricing from the total estimation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double tap and bring up the Edit Item menu, go into Behavior and Project, and below on the third setting, we have here called Include in Project Quicksheet. Now, the default setting here is that the item will be included in Project Quicksheet and will be counted in total project price. What I want to do is I want to remove that pricing. So I'm going to go ahead and select it as Do Not Include in Project Quicksheet. And now when I take a look at my list view, I can now see that it has grayed out the value. Okay, so I can go back into the rendering or into the project and confidently render this project, knowing that that desk, the cost of it, has been removed from the estimation. And so what I'm providing my client with is the exact pre-configured list price of this total setup. All right, again, if you're client-facing, you want to use the first rendering option. If you want to use the best rendering option, we know that on the different devices that it will take some time. Now, on our again with our Windows 10 users, they have access to stronger processing power, which allows the rendering engine to turn over the best rendering quite quickly. Usually takes about anywhere between I would say 2 to 3 minutes. Especially against white space. Now, for our iPad users, it can sometimes take anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, depending on the intricacy of the actual project itself. So if you need to render in best quality, and we always want to, because obviously that really gives off the best illustration of what the furniture looks like, based on even the type of finishes that are applied. It could be a semi-gloss sheen on the desk, or semi-gloss sheen on the actual laminate. Maybe the chairs have chrome legs. These are all things that we want to sort of illustrate in the best rendering. Now, we can't necessarily do that at a good rendering, because at the first level rendering, what it does is it pushes out the images, making sure that it applies shade and shadow and light to giving it depth. At the best rendering level, it applies the textures that are associated to the finishes. So in case you want to use the best rendering level, you'll want to understand exactly how long it takes depending on your device. Okay, so this takes a bit of practice, rendering over and over, understanding how long it takes. And what you want to do is you want to integrate that into your sales style so that you have some talk points to consider as the rendering is turning over. All right, so keep that in mind. And what you can do as a best practice when you're in the office is you can actually practice that. All right. All right, so here we have the project. I'm quite happy with it. If I go ahead and create that estimation, let's take a look. All right. We can change some information on the left-hand side. I'm just going to call this classroom. We also have the option of selecting one of the HD renderings that we created. I'm going to include the one with the desk. Now, in case we need to discount it for any reason, okay, it could be that based on the fact that this is a classroom, most likely we'll have some kind of GSA to consider. If it doesn't provide me with that pricing, what I can do is I can guesstimate what that discount is going to be at a global level. Here we're going to say 35%. That's going to be 35% off list pricing based on the pre-configured list price. I can include an additional cell line. Let's call this installation. and I can include the charge for that. I can enter any note by turning on that control switch, tapping in the box below notes, and entering my note. Now, this is the PDF that KISP will generate, and if I flick down, what I can see is basically everything that's included in this project, even the 3 desks that are going to be in the adjacent area. If I need to, I can add notes somewhere around here in my notes to include descriptions of how this is being specified or how this is being charged. But I can see all the items. I can even validate whether or not they've been fully specified by making sure that there are no red question marks. And one thing that I notice is what I don't see is the existing desk in the rendering in which we've removed pricing from the estimation. Okay? And that's pretty much it. That's your 30 minutes of the KISP behavior in project feature. So you can see how this feature can certainly help you when you need to refine pricing, maybe refine the illustration based on some rules that we've applied. So get practicing using that feature and see how it can help you with your projects. Because you can see that, again, knowing that we have these features, we can certainly start working on more robust projects, more robust estimations, including additionals that may be single items that need to be purchased for other areas. We've gone through this several times where we've been asked to specify for a specific space, and then understanding that they needed additional storage for other areas. They didn't really need the image of the storage. They just wanted to get the value. So what we did was we provided the actual costing for that, included in the estimation, simply by hiding the visibility of the graphic. All right, so start playing around with it and seeing how it can work for your next project. All right. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to turn this over to see if there's any questions. And I have a question here, and it says, what's the best way to increase quantities and not affect the rendering? Well, actually, I just kind of showed that to you. So we get this question a lot, and people ask whether or not you can quickly include quantities to items that are specified in kits. Now, you certainly can. Now, the only thing is every time you create a duplicate of an item, that graphic's going to be seen in your scene. Now, if you just needed to create quantities of a particular item, the best way to do it is, even if it's based on one of the existing items that's in the space, let's say these orange chairs are also going to be installed elsewhere. The best way to doing it is by doing what I did earlier. Let's create a duplicate. Here we have 2 chairs selected. Simply enough, all I'm going to do is go into the behavior and project, and I'm going to keep this one separate. Now, the rule is applying to only the chair that's highlighted in green. And the reason why is because even though these 2 chairs are part of a grouping, the green box surrounding this chair is indicating that this is the lead object, or this is the lead item that's part of this grouping, and so that any edits I make are going to first be made on this chair. Okay, so simply enough, if I double tap on that other chair and I go into the behavior project, you can see here that it's still set on the first setting. But if I go back to the first chair that I double tapped on, you can see that I've already included this one as being separate. All right. So we need to add quantities. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this. And now I'm going to go ahead and remove. And let's say we needed a quantity of 10. All I'm going to do is go back into the behavior and project. And simply enough, if we hide this, you can see that it's hidden all the other items, and we don't want that to happen. So let's return it back. What we want to do is we want to keep this one separate. And now you can go ahead and hide visibility. Okay, so now you have the item invisible, and we can go ahead and begin to create duplicates of it. So we needed 10. Let's add the 10. And there are your 10 duplicate items. Okay, and you can see here, they're not in the scene. All right. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so there's another question here, and how do I register for the training for tomorrow? Every second Thursday of the month, I run a free basic training webinar. Now, this one has been rescheduled from last week because I wasn't available, so it is going to be set for tomorrow at 3 p.m. So if you want to join, all you need to do is go to the KITS Knowledge Center, and let's see if I can just quickly bring it up here. And when you're in the KITS Knowledge Center, all you have to do is click on Resources. And you can see here under the drop menu, you have Free Training, Webinar Wednesday, KITS Community, and Tutorials. Go ahead and click on Free Training. That will take you into a different page. And if you scroll all the way down, you can see here where you can register for the free training. Okay? Click on Save My Spot, enter in your information, and select the date that you want to join. Okay? It's pretty easy. In case you want to register for any of our other upcoming Webinar Wednesdays, click on Webinar Wednesday, and you can see all the different webinars that have been scheduled for the next couple weeks. All right, well, that looks like the very last question that I have today. So first off, what I want to do is I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. As always, we're looking to find our next KITS collaborator. So if you'd like to become our next KITS collaborator, what we'll do is we'll showcase your project in our Knowledge Center. All you have to do is contact us and tell us about your experience and success story with KITS. Share a selfie with us, and also renderings. And what we'll do is we'll reward you with a $50 Amazon gift card. It's really that easy. I say it all the time. All you need to do is share that story with us. Okay? Don't forget to sign up for our free basic training webinar that's set for tomorrow. And also look out for any upcoming news and announcements via email or by visiting our Knowledge Center. Well, that's it for me today, folks. If you have any further questions, you can always contact our support team. We're always looking to hear from our community. Thanks again for attending today's webinar, and I hope to see you back right here next week for Webinar Wednesday. Bye, everyone.